alleviate poverty by coming up with poverty alleviation schemes. No.
Parents, I think, should be able to use proper words. Don't tell your child a vagina is a screwdriver or is actually a window. Don't use words like that.
Do you think Sheikh Gumi is benefiting from the ransoms being paid?
I wouldn't know, and I don't want to say what I don't know.
This is like holding the government
to ransom
by their balls.
Welcome to episode 9 of Reactions. My name is Mr. Sao. Joining me today is Mr. Houston Nwachukwu. And we have a new guest today, Miss Hannah Rachel Mukhtar. Did I get that? I got that right, yeah? Yeah. How does it feel to be with us today on Reactions?
Well, I feel honored and...
Why do you feel honored? I don't understand. You were supposed to be part of this podcast from the beginning, so...
Yeah, okay. Due to unforeseen circumstances beyond my control, this is my first episode, and I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah.
Like meeting my friends, actually talking to online. So I feel happy and excited.
All right. Henry Oqua is not just seated. Yeah, but he's actually in the building anyway. Yeah, but Mr. Houston, how have you been?
I've been good. Had a very, very good week. But it could have been better.
Very good week.
Yeah, but my week could have been better if we had, good news in the country. So sometimes it's like you anticipate a good week, but Nigeria doesn't give you good news to, complement the good week.
Yeah, that's why we're here, And I don't want it to seem like we're always reacting to bad things happening in the country, but most times when I look, I'm like, what is the good thing that is going on? So before we get to the topics we are going to be reacting to today, please like this video, subscribe to Page 36 TV on YouTube. I tried to do that at the beginning now, so you guys don't forget. And please share this on all your social media platforms. So,
like or dislike.
What?
They can like or dislike.
No, they have to like the video, no dislike. Yep, if you dislike, we'll block you. Anyway, let me get to the first topic we're going to be addressing today. This is a long one. So, Fani-Kayode on Wednesday called on the President Buhari Federal Government to invite the renowned Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi for questioning over his alleged ties with armed bandits and other criminal elements in the country, especially in Kaduna State, adding that he must be benefiting from the ransoms paid to the abductors, which are the bandits, for the release of their captives. Fani-Kayode was reacting to an interview by a parent of one of the abducted students in Kaduna State who said, so this is what the parent said, they took us to Gumi's house. He directed us to Ahmad, who invited a Fulani from Kaduna. We contributed 800,000 naira for him. He told us that it was just for transport. I cried and pleaded with him, saying I am a widow. He said it was not his concern. So I'm just going to read what Fani-Kayode said in reaction to that quote by one of the parents of the abducted students in Kaduna State. So this is what Fani-Kayode had to say. I hereby call on the federal government to invite and interrogate Ahmad Gumi. Assuming the lady's testimony is true, it provides a clear evidence of him being an accessory and accomplice to terrorism, abduction, kidnapping, and murder. He is a bagman, in capital letter bag, front and PR officer for the terrorists that have plagued our land, and I do not doubt that he benefits from the ransoms that are being paid. If these were not the case, He would not spend his entire life attempting to defend, justify, rationalize, and explain their barbaric, homicidal, savage, and beastly ways. His quote continues, "How much longer do the people of Nigeria have to put up with evil and wicked men like this? Enough is enough. If no one else will say it, I will. Gumi must be brought to justice, and so must every single one of his foreign Fulani terrorist friends and all those within and outside. If the federal government refuses to act against Gumi, I will raise questions about their commitment to fighting terror and stopping the terrorists. Every day, people are being killed and kidnapped. This madness has to stop, and those behind it that have covertly supported it or that covertly support it must be brought to justice." So this is a quote from Fani-Kayode, calling for the arrest of Sheikh Ahmad Gumi. We all know Sheikh Ahmad Gumi, his role he has played in the as an intermediary between between the government or the parents of kidnapped students or kidnapped persons in the north, mostly in the north, in Kaduna State and other states in the north. So right now, one of the parents of one of these abducted students was saying how much they actually gave to Sheikh Gumi, and Sheikh Gumi introduced them to somebody that took a certain 800,000 naira to the bandits in the forest for transportation. They were asking for 100 million or 500 million. I don't know what they were asking for in this case right now. So he's calling for the arrest of Sheikh Gumi. I don't know. Do you think Sheikh Gumi has to be arrested? Do you think it is time for the federal government to call him for questioning based on his dealings with these bandits? Because he clearly knows where these bandits are, and we know that these bandits are criminals. Even if the federal government has failed right now to term them as terrorists or whatnot, but there's somebody right now that has access to these people. Do you think they need to call him for questioning? Because we have not heard that he has been invited for any kind of questioning or any sort or any kind of investigation as regards the role of these bandits in the north. So do you think this call by Fani-Kayode is right? What do you think, Ms. Hannah?
Okay. Lately, Fani-Kayode has been someone who belongs to nobody and belongs to everybody.
Okay.
Because if you've been following his tweets and some of the information he puts out there, he stands with nobody, and at the same time, he stands with everybody. He's just like virtually sitting on the fence.
Yeah.
But in this case, I stand with him.
Okay.
I just have one question. Has Sheikh Gumi linked his NIN number?
Okay.
Just one question. Please, if you are able to answer that question, then I think I have so many questions.
But why are you asking that question? Why does it matter if he has linked his NIN number?
Okay. When the issue of this linking your number to your NIN came up, Pantami said the reason why he came up with this ridiculous idea in quotes was to track terrorists and to curb terrorism. So if actually that particular thing he said works, since Sheikh Gumi is actually in contact with those terrorists, his line is supposed to link us to whoever it is that he's communicating with. It's simple. It's not rocket science. So the only question I have is, has this man linked his NIN? Has he?
Yeah, so you're basically saying right now that you think he should be called for questioning.
He should, because in a sane society, you can't be the spokesman or the middleman between the people and terrorists. Because I don't see them as bandits. I don't see them as unknown gunmen. I don't see them as headsmen. I see them as terrorists. That singular act of theirs is act of terrorism. It's an act of terrorism. Gumi is the minister in charge of terrorism and bandit affairs. So he needs to be called for questioning. In a safe society, things like this should not be allowed. How can you say that the government should pay these people 100 million naira? Who does that?
Yeah, I saw that one as well.
Who does that?
That they should get the money. He said they should get the money from the CBN, pay the people, then they can trace them later and recover the money. Yeah, he made that statement. That was very ridiculous. Yeah.
People have lost their lives. And the only thing you do is to sympathize with these people. No country, no sane country sympathizes with murderers, not to talk of terrorists. So since he's their middleman, he should be called in for questioning.
Why do you think he has not been called in all the while?
Well, just one thing. The fight against terrorism in Nigeria is selective. It's selective.
Why?
Because if it is not selective, Gumi should have been called. I remember when this former deputy governor, Obadiah Melafia, made some statements that concerns terrorism. The DSS were on his trail. He was called in like 2-3 times for questioning. So my point of my question is, why has this man not been called in? Why? We are not even calling for his arrest. We are not calling for his. All we want is for him to be called in for questioning. For goodness sake, he has some questions to answer.
Okay. Mr. Houston.
Yeah.
What do you think about the call for questioning for Sheikh Gumi on his role? This is not alleged role right now. He's playing a role, obviously, being an intermediary between, between the government or the parents of these kidnapped students or persons. Yeah. Do you think we have to actually even wait for FFK to tell the government to call him for questioning? Or do you think we should applaud him for what he has been doing and just
firstly, I think
thank him?
I think it's past when we should have actually called Gumi. That's one. Secondly, I think it is very crass of FFK to ask that the federal government arrest Gumi or calling Gumi for questioning at a time when those kids were yet to be released, because he made that statement before the kids were released. The kids were still in custody of their kidnappers. They were still being held hostage when FFK asked that these kids be.
Which of the kids are you even talking about?
Because some are still in
Because there are
custody.
two.
Yeah.
There were 2 sets, right?
Yes.
But none of them were released at that point in time.
Some were released, some were still there. Then more got released.
Wait, no. When FFK asked,
10 were released by then.
10 were released, but the rest of them were still there. Even if it's
Kids of the Greenfield University, they are still, none of them have been.
none of them have
It's
been
the
released till now.
forestry
Yes,
one that
it was the
10
forestry
were,
people.
yeah.
So,
Then more were still there.
And don't forget, Sheikh Gumi said that those people, the people that abducted the School of Forestry students are not.
they're a different set of bandits. Fine.
So he is not in
Now-
communication with
Oh,
them.
so he's
Now-
not helping those parents.
Yes. Now listen.
Different sectors of bandits.
Gumi asking that the federal government should go ahead and pay so they release these people. That was a very critical time. If you looked at the whole thing that was happening, Gumi was the intermediary between the government, the families, and the bandits. It would have been very crass for an ex-minister to come out and say, arrest Gumi. First, you don't even understand what is going on. This thing is bigger than we understand. Whether or not Gumi is in collusion with the kidnappers or the government or the parents, wherever Gumi stands, you need to understand that Gumi is an Islamic cleric. You need to take his position into consideration first. He's an Islamic cleric. I, for one, I can't dissociate the bandits from Boko Haram. I still see all of them as extremists, because before you go out of your way, if you worship the one true Allah, I don't see you as wanting to, I don't think it is right to propagate your gospel by terror. So I consider everything, even kidnapping and all of this, these are all acts of terror. So I still see them as terrorists. Now, if they have been able to nominate a spokesperson or an intermediary or a negotiator in the person of Gumi, I think it will be very, very crass that the government calls him in for questioning when we still have people with them. Nothing stops them. These are faceless people. Nothing stops them from killing those students one at a time. And these are lives. We cannot play games with the lives of people in their custody. So at that point in time, I think for once, I would have to agree with Gumi for once that was a very, very critical moment. Even if they kill one person, you don't know who they are killing. It is still a human being's life that's been lost. They have nothing to lose. The bandits had nothing to lose as at that point in time. So it's best that you tread carefully, do what they have to do. By the way, we keep saying no government negotiate with terrorists. America actually negotiated recently with the Taliban in Afghanistan. That's why they're even pulling out their troops. They had a negotiation. So when you're pressured to a certain point, you negotiate, but you negotiate with a plan. You negotiate with a plan. You don't just come out and negotiate and pay the money so only to negotiate tomorrow again. You don't do that. So first of all, I believe that the government should have worked with a framework. They should have had something on ground first. Like Gumi rightly said, you can pay the money. I had the principal once at some point, my formative years, who used to say something to all the students. He would say, even if the devil is willing to loan you money to go to school and obtain education, take the loan, go to school, get the education, and decide what you want to do with the devil afterwards. So I think it would have only been natural that we go ahead and pay. But like you rightly said, Hannah, you pay the money and track these people. Track them. Now you're paying the money because you're utilizing time. Then you track them. We have Pantami in his office. That's supposed to be one of the most. That's supposed to be one of the most critical, one of the most focal points with intelligence in this country, because we work with. They work with the NIN. They have systems to track people's call. I understand they have computerized system by which they could track our calls in this country. So why are they not able to utilize systems like that? National data, whatever it is, database. These people make calls. They call Gumi and the rest of them. So because you're trying to kill time, you go ahead and pay the money. Instead of releasing these people, Gumi is still on the phone. Why don't you track Gumi's call? Why don't you do? I think that is what that's a more brilliant approach to take with the kids in the kidnappers' custody, not asking their only negotiator, the only person we see right now, to be called for questioning.
Wait, Houston, I don't agree with you. For how long? How much was paid to release the Kankara boys?
That's what I wanted to say, because this is not the first time they are kidnapping students.
It's not
the first one.
To release some people in Niger State. And what we have, Sheikh Gumi, I don't see him as an intermediary. I see him as an apologist. A terror apologist.
Fine.
He's not. There's something about being empathic, and he's empathic towards the bandits he calls, and not towards the parents of those abductees.
Wait though. Yeah, so one thing you said, I like where you said, because the life of the children matter, even if it's one life.
Yes.
You know, where I felt like where you were defending the government or speaking good about the government, because he's not even representing the government in this matter. You know, he's representing maybe the parents, or I don't know who he's representing, or the bandits. That's what we don't know. You know, but saying that right now, you know, he should not be called now. I think he could have been called. He should have been called a long time ago.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Sorry, Houston. When is the right time?
Now I want to answer you. Wait, I'm talking.
Yeah.
If after the first kidnap where Gumi negotiated sometime last year, Gumi was called in, it would have been perfect. Now, we have a lot to lose as common Nigerians who share in the plight of the parents of those kids. We have a lot, or we had a lot to lose. And even till now, some kids are still in custody of these people. So we still have a lot to lose. This is not the right time to call in Gumi for questioning. Nothing stops those people from saying, oh, these people are not serious. Pow, they shoot the first kid and the second kid and on like that. Listen, what the government is supposed to do, we have all the intelligence apparatus. What we should do at this point, what we're supposed to do right now at this point is, from Pantami to everybody who we see as, or whom we deem as an apologist or a terrorist apologist, we should listen to their phone calls with these people. I shouldn't even be the one telling them this. Exactly. This thing should be going on. But listen. Sheikh Gumi said something the other time. Sheikh Gumi has said so many things that will make us think in that direction. But I believe if they're able to track people who anti-Buhari citizens who speak against Buhari, they're able to track their calls or listen to their calls. If they're able to do all these things, then I think they should be able to do the same things with people that the nation are pointing fingers at. Pantami's case came up. I don't know if they investigated Pantami. The DSS came out and said they investigated Pantami. Nothing was done. Gumi said so many things. The other time, Gumi said we shouldn't look at these terrorists as terrorists. We should look at them as freedom fighters. I don't know if it was coming from a diplomatic front or it was coming from a very reasonable point. I don't know, or the point of the vantage point of an apologist. I don't know if that was where he was coming from. He also said we should not. He also said Buhari should not try to remove Pantami or Nigeria will regret it. Yeah. Now, this is a man who speaks with so much authority. We do not understand why this man still roams the country freely. We do not understand all of these things. Now, that should further go to make you understand that when dealing with such situations, you do not take immediate. We can't all go crazy at about the same time. You can't take drastic actions. Now, I suggested that you track their calls. Listen to their calls. If not listen to their calls, if it's unconstitutional, track their movements.
When it comes to the calls, though, there was a report that came in where it was said that they don't use normal phones; they use GSM.
They use GSM. Okay, fine.
No, they don't use GSM.
They use walkie-talkie.
Walkie-talkie.
Fine.
Yeah.
We have drones. We have a satellite.
Yeah, but
we have all these things.
We have a walkie-talkie, though.
Wait. My point is, we can't. Hannah, see. Sorry, you're going to speak. We can't. You know what I'm saying? We can't go crazy with this thing. Have you ever seen? I like to reference movies most times because that's our closest, unit for measuring all of these things. Have you ever seen a hostage situation?
Of course.
Fine. When you say hostage situation, how best does the hostage taker? How best does he describe his? Does he explain his seriousness, or does he prove his seriousness to the people?
Usually, it's by killing someone.
Thank you. There has to be casualties.
But I want you to understand this.
And some students have actually been killed, though. Yeah.
I want to bring you down to our contemporary society.
Okay.
Are you aware that these terrorists, they don't release the first batch until they have another batch at hand?
So that's what I'm saying. At what point do we now invite him? What if they keep kidnapping?
Yeah. But they did not release them until they had those students.
New ones again.
I don't want to sound like pessimistic, but I feel before they release these Greenfield University students, somehow they might have other people in their custody. This is like holding the government by their balls. So my question goes, when is the right time?
Yeah.
Eric made a statement today, and when I read it, I was moved to tears. He said, the plan is for some of the students to die as collateral damage so that all the bandits can be killed in the process. I read it, I was like, what?
Yeah, but if we're looking at it from a broader perspective,
yes,
some have died already.
Yeah.
Some, unfortunately, will still die.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we don't know whether the government has a plan. Because he is saying right now that the bandits will be killed, but how do we know that you have a plan? How do we know that you have a plan?
Once they are captured, they'll come up as repentance.
Okay.
And they'll be giving the mastermind of Kankara abduction. What happened to him? He repented and was given a house.
And he went back
to terrorism.
Now,
so this is Nigeria.
You have a point.
Other countries.
Hannah, you have a point. You have a very good point.
Anyway, you guys should round up this one so we can.
Hannah, you have a very good point. But then, in the case of Zamfara, we've seen what's been happening lately. The governor, I think that was the first state that experienced this banditry. It was Zamfara State. That's Matawali, right? That's the governor's name.
Yes.
Okay, Matawali. We also what Matawali did. He negotiated.
Zamfara is not the first state.
No, it started in Zamfara actually.
No.
Are you talking about the kidnapping?
No.
Banditry?
Where banditry? These people, so-called bandits.
I think has been experiencing.
I don't think it matters where. I don't think it matters where.
Okay, it doesn't matter where it's coming from anyway. But it doesn't matter where it's coming, where it starts from. But Matawali clearly was the first governor to negotiate with bandits.
Yes.
He negotiated with them, and some of these bandits were still recalcitrant. Some of them refused to lay their arms down, and we're seeing what is going on there. These bandits are being slaughtered by the day, which for me is actually a feat. He's achieving a feat, if you ask me. So I'm not saying all of them will be killed at once or all of that, but I believe that the bandits can actually be exterminated. I'm very positive that they can be. But you must have a strategy.
Definitely they can be. But the government that we have in power is the government doing
But
everything.
first,
That's what I'm saying.
Business we have.
That's what even everybody is saying, right?
Well, but
anyway,
Matawale started with the negotiation. He started with negotiation. No.
At the early time. But now he says he's not negotiating. But anyway, I want to round up.
He paid them to stop.
Hello. Yeah.
Hi.
I want to round up these bits right now. So you are in support of the call for Gumi's arrest?
Absolutely.
Yes. Houston, you think it's the wrong time to call for the call, but you think he should be arrested at some point.
I think you should call. I don't want to use the word arrest. I think you should call him for question at some point, but not now, not at this critical time when we still have people in the
All right, that's fine. But he has not still been invited, or despite the call, and I don't think he will ever be invited for anything. So after the call for the arrest and investigation of Gumi, one of the parents of the abducted students came to his defense, saying. So this is what one of the parents said. This is interesting, and I understand where they're coming from, though. So I'm just going to read this quote. He felt that speaking of Gumi, he felt that the people that are ravaging the whole place need to be reached with a message of Islam. And he established contact with them and gave them appointment, went to the bush with them and preached to them, and then made them to understand that what they are doing is wrong, which every well-meaning Nigerian should be able to commend him for that. But we are not doing that. This is what the parent is saying in defense of Gumi. When the incident, talking about the kidnapping, took place in some states outside Kaduna, he was able to reach the bandits, talk with them, and mediate between them and the families or the state government, and they were able to sort it out. But people are asking questions. How did he know where they are? Even you, the interviewer, as you are, if you have interest in knowing where the bandits are, you will get to know the place. Remember, he made a statement that the government is asking how he knows where they are. And he said even the government knows where they are. Speaking of the bandits. Because this clergyman is coming out to tell Nigerians what is happening in the country. Some people develop unnecessary hatred for him, and that is why we are where we are, because we do not want to hear the truth. When we are talking about what I am, when we are talking about, am I not going to negotiate? I am not going to pay ransom. The question is, have we put on ground? You know, she's asking the government right now, have we put on ground security-wise to checkmate all this? The matter is, do we have the government that has the will to end banditry in this country? So you guys just spoke on this right now. So this was a parent's reaction to people calling for the arrest of Gumi. You know, so she's speaking, or he or she, I don't know, it was speaking from a parent's point of view that has their child or their children in custody of these bandits, you know, and they have somebody that has volunteered for them. The government has not done anything. You know, there's this man that's come right now speaking to these people, trying to help them, you know, and he has helped some people in the past, though, so I can understand why they put their hope in him. But because this shows right now that the government may not be doing anything as it seems, because she's asking, have we put anything in place? Why are you telling them not to negotiate? Why should they not negotiate? You know, like if you have your child in custody right now, I don't think I'll be thinking about the government that is not waiting for me. I will do all I can do to get my child released. You know, so what do you think about this parents' defense from a parent's point of view as to the role of Sheikh Gumi in rescuing their children? You know, and they're saying right now that it seems this government is not doing anything, because she didn't say anything in this statement to show what the government has done or is doing.
Well, this particular respondent has his or her child in custody. So I can understand. She's speaking from an emotional point of view instead of from a logical point of view.
Yeah.
So either way, she will have to support Gumi because he's like a mediator between her and her child. If I were to be in her shoes, I would have done more or probably reacted like her.
Yeah, but could the case have been different if the government was at the forefront, and there was communication between the government and the parents? Would there be a need for a Sheikh Gumi that is getting all these defense and commendation?
Why? Because Nigeria itself is a failed state. It is a failed state. You can take it or you leave it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Gumi negotiated with these bandits. Like I said earlier on, I don't see him as a mediator. I see him as a sympathizer and an apologist. Because some of the things he has been saying in defense to these bandits, they are so heinous.
But one question I failed to ask earlier
Yes.
that FFK raised, do you think he's benefiting from these ransoms? Do you think so?
If I'm a mediator, of course, this is Nigeria. What is it for me? This is a black nation, and we know how we think. Like I earlier on said, kidnapping, banditry, or whatever it is that it's called, it's one of the most lucrative businesses in Nigeria right now as we speak. Because almost every one of them that has been, has any bandit been prosecuted? Let me ask you this question. Because a lot of them will be captured and they will be released in the name of independence. Even the Boko Haram members, they are captured and then they will be rehabilitated and then integrated into the society. So if I'm a person, since if I go into this, I'll make my money, and even when I get caught at the end of the day, I will just hide under the guise of being a repentant bandit and I'll be reintegrated into the society. Isn't this one of the most lucrative business? Has any of them been prosecuted? No. You keep paying ransom and they have another badge at hand. Either way, these people don't care. So somehow, the government has to rise to the occasion. They are doing nothing. Gumi, in quote, is doing the work of the government, but he's doing it with a biased mind. Islam is a religion of peace. I lived in the north, and I still live in the north. I lived in core northern states. And I know a Muslim, an STP, is a very peaceful person. He lives his life one day at a time. And they are very, very warm. So these people, they don't act based on the teaching of Islam. They don't act based on the teaching of Islam. Gumi, like she said, that he goes into the forest and preach to them. Was she there? Was she?
Anyway, Houston, hearing what this parent has said right now, do you still stand on your earlier take? This is the parent that is saying right now specifically that the government is not doing anything. Well, the government is not making any move. The government is not even in communication with them. The only person that they have that is talking to them, that is giving them hope and assurance is Sheikh Gumi.
And who would you rather listen to sometimes? I mean, Sheikh Gumi is like the only glimpse of redemption that this parent has, which is actually the same reason. That was actually the point I came from before now.
Yeah, but I'm tackling you from where you were saying that you don't think he should be called now, but he should be called later. Listen, but who is going to call him? The government is not playing any role here. Speaking of the government not him.
Then we'll start talking about the government. At this point in time, who is Fani-Kayode expecting to call him? The government. I mean, that's what I was saying the same thing. I'm trying to tell you that this is a very, very critical time. This is a very, very, very critical time, and it is precarious to go and start arresting a man like Gumi, who is the only source of succor for these parents. At this point, when Okonjo-Iweala's mom was arrested, she was Minister of Finance. Her mom was arrested. The senior professor was arrested. Okonjo-Iweala did not go there to start doing, what's it called? I think I should call him the negotiator. Nobody did all of that. They asked for, was it 50 million at that time? What she did, that's why I said, do this with a plan. If Gumi is saying pay the money, but have a plan. See, I'm a planner. All my life I've been a planner. Okonjo-Iweala, listen. It does not matter when you plan, just plan. That's what I'm saying. You don't just go and we cannot go crazy. Okay, Gumi is the only Gumi is the only person that you carry Gumi.
they killed 18 students. We'll start talking about another thing. We need to work like, see, listen, one minute.
This Greenfield University,
it does
50 million naira.
Wait a minute. It does not, what I'm trying to tell you is we are all going crazy in the country. It's not proper. Calm down. Listen, people, these are people's lives we're talking about. Okay. These bandits are used to one thing and one thing alone, killing. It won't take them anything. We've seen people die from, in fact, we've even seen ransom paid in this country and people still get killed at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because your child is not there. If your child were to be in that bush, you won't be saying arrest Gumi.
Okay, I have one question.
Now listen, I'm coming, I'm still talking. You won't be saying arrest Gumi at this point if your child were to be in that bush. So at this point in time, it's a very critical time. Gumi is, I don't care how anybody, I have my reservations about Gumi. We all have how we perceive him. But at this point in time, Gumi is the only negotiator. This is not the time to go and carry him. You work with, I was giving you an example. Okonjo-Iweala, what did she do? She paid the money they asked. They said, pay this money if you want to see your mother. She paid the money, but she paid them with marked notes. And that was how they were able to catch all the kidnappers. You must have a plan. Follow them, play ball with them, but have a plan. That's it.
Do you believe this government has a plan?
Now, if they don't have a plan, now that's a different thing. But at this point, you cannot afford to crassly arrest.
And like I asked that earlier, I just want to get your take on this. Do you think Sheikh Gumi is benefiting from the ransoms being paid?
I wouldn't know, and I don't want to say what I don't know. I don't know
whether you know. I said, do you think so?
He's an Islamic cleric. I've never dealt with any before, so I would not know. I honestly do not know. But I think if you ask me if I think Gumi sympathizes with these people, from everything he said, I can actually say he sympathizes with them, but I don't know if he gets, because that's a very huge allegation. I don't know if he gets any money from them, but he sympathizes with them.
Okay, I have one thing to add.
Yes, Randall.
At first, the kidnappers of these Greenfield University students, they demanded for 50 million naira ransom. And then the money was contributed by the parents of those abducted students.
Yeah, because everybody is not negotiating.
Paid to these bandits. What did they say? The letter came up and said they used that 50 million naira to feed them. So they need 100 million naira again and 100 bikes.
Honda motorcycle.
Honda boot or something like that. So what guarantee do we have that after giving them this an additional 100 million naira, they won't come up with another outrageous?
Yeah, but we can have hope that the ones for, I think the forestry, whatever school have been released.
Said they were not, Gumi said it was not his faction.
Hannah, please. Yes. I want to ask you, put yourself in the shoes of...
No, in the shoes of the parent, though.
Now, do not put yourself in the shoes of the parents. Just put yourself in the shoes of a government representative. Arrest Gumi. If Gumi says he will not say anything, what would you do?
Wait.
If Gumi refuses to talk.
No, he's saying,
please.
As a government appointee or a political appointee,
or even the military
who holds a political appointment, when you deal with situation, there's a difference between dealing with a situation from an emotional level and from a logical point of view. So you need to separate these two. That is why even as a doctor, they don't allow you to treat your family member because you will be emotional. So someone else who isn't a family member is in a better position.
Fine.
So
arrest Gumi. What next?
Wait, guys. Not arrest. We didn't say arrest.
Calling me for questions.
Wait. You talked about having a plan.
Yes.
You know, I felt like they could have called this Sheikh, invited him in secret.
Simple.
Not now that everybody knows.
Simple. That's my point, and that's the plan.
That's why I agree with you about having a plan. They could have done it in secret that the public.
Let me tell you. Do you know that?
Yeah.
The reason for this, everybody's of this opinion. Sometimes I go on my WhatsApp status and I see everybody saying, if Nigeria was the same country, Gumi should be working. Gumi should be free. Arrest Gumi. Calling for questioning. Everybody's of the same opinion. That is the same reason why the media houses have been interviewing him regularly, day after day, recently. Because the government won't do it. That is why the media houses are taking it upon themselves. Generally, we saw his interview on Channels TV, AIT. So many stations keep interviewing him every time because the government wouldn't do it. But then, the same thing, Gumi repeats the same thing. He keeps repeating the same sympathy he has for these people.
What can he do?
This is what something he will do.
Why is it that he always has links with terrorists? That is my question.
Let's move though, but I hope like Mr. Houston has said, the government can sit up and have a plan because there are ways to go about this thing that we, the public, will not even know, but we will start seeing results.
Exactly.
You know, because I feel like when you start putting everything out there, even when they want to take a move, they put it in the media. Everybody knows. The bandits and the terrorists we know already now. You have already put it out there what you want to do. You know, that's why we talk about intelligence, and we have all these different security agencies, you know, come up with something behind the scene. You can't put everything in forefront. You're coming to kill me. You put it in the media. Will I not run and go and hide? I know. Like, yeah, I think the government needs to be serious because by their actions, they just show us that they are not serious about fighting this insecurity.
Gumi, ask Gumi to assist you.
Yeah.
If Gumi refuses, he has simply told you that these are his people.
So please, let's move to our next topic. We'll beat this one so hard. So President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday directed the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, to review the salaries of government workers in order to reduce high cost of governance in the country. The minister stated that the president has directed the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission to review the salaries of civil servants as well as the number of federal agencies, adding that the government also intends to remove some superfluous items from the budget in order to cut governance. This is what the minister said, and I quote, "We still see government expenditure increase to a terrain twice higher than our revenue. The nation's budgets are filled every year with projects that are recycled over and over again and are also not necessary. Mr. President has directed that the salaries committee that I chair," that's the minister speaking still, work together with the head of service and other members of the committee to review the government payrolls in terms of stepping down on cost. The Director General of the Budget Office, Ben Akabweze, while speaking, disclosed that the cost of governance under the Buhari administration has risen sharply from 3.61 trillion in 2015 to 5.26 trillion in 2018 and 7.91 trillion in 2020. That's almost double. Yeah, I think that's more than double. You know, so we have been hearing that Nigeria is getting broke. NNPC has released their own statement saying they're not going to be able to remit to the federal allocation and whatnot. So right now, I remember last year during the NSAS protest, we're not talking about NSAS anyway, you know, there are different things we're demanding for. They were demanding for the cut of the allowances and benefits and salaries of these government officials. And there was that talk about senators and all those things, saying they were wasting money, you know. So right now, the government is realizing that they are spending too much to run governance. Now they're calling for shortage of staff or staff salaries, like cut of staff salaries, shortage of staff as well, because they're talking about reducing federal agencies as well, merging some of them, cutting some of them away just to save the cost of running the country. So do you guys think this is a great move, or do you think this is just activity in futility?
Well, I'll always say my mind.
Yeah.
I believe that we don't have intellectuals in high places. What we have are clowns at the corridors of power.
Why do you say that?
Because it's obvious. You guys said you are broke, there's no money, and yet you gave 2 years waiver on tax to the richest black man.
Aliko Dangote.
Yes, 2 years they have not been paying tax on cement. Do you know how much they would have generated?
Do you think that's why Nigeria is getting broke?
Highest employer of labor.
Yeah, but do you think that's an incentive? Because I understand sometimes government give incentives to businesses and corporations.
No.
Yeah.
Why would you give incentive to someone who is rich already? While those small-scale entrepreneurs that are trying to build their lives, they pay taxes.
But do you think because Dangote has not paid tax, that's why Nigeria is broke?
I'm citing an example. Like, we have cons in high places. I don't know how they got there. But it's not logical. How much is the salary of a senator in a month? They get to receive hardship allowance, newspaper allowance, everything allowance.
And they didn't talk about that in their reason of whatever.
Do you know how expensive
Yeah.
Sometimes I can only imagine how an average man survives in this country.
Yeah.
And those civil servants, they have families.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the dependency ratio right now in Nigeria is 1:8. In 2019, it was 1:3. So within 2 years,
wow,
that was over 150% increase. The dependency ratio is 1:3 per family, 1:8 per family. So you are cutting their salaries, and in this process, some people will lose their jobs. How much has NNPC been remitting? NNPC has not remitted anything for a long time, and yet they spend a lot. Check the budget that goes to that sector. Some states cannot even pay 30,000 naira as minimum wage. They still pay 18,000 naira. How much is 18,000 naira? How much is a bag of rice? How much is tomato in the market? How much is salt? How much is maggi?
So wait, Ms. Hannah, I see you're getting very passionate about this, yeah?
Yes.
Because you probably go to the market and you see how high these things cost, and you probably know more people that will suffer from stuff like this. Yeah, but looking at it, in case you have called these people clowns in power, what suggestions do you have for them? What do you think could have been the right step for them to take? If the country really wants to save cost, if they really want to reduce the cost of governance, to have excess money, what are the wastages that you probably see and perceive? Where do you think they need to go and cut cost?
Okay. If they want to actually cut the cost of governance, they should start with themselves. They should. Because you cannot lead from behind. You have to lead from front. And that is why I'm trying to link these two. You cannot keep complaining that you don't have money and you are not doing anything. And you keep paying these bandits. Definitely you run out of income, or you run out of money. And one way to cut all these excesses is to get professionals at the helm of affairs. Someone like me, you can't take me or make me the minister of health, because I know nothing about that. You cannot take me and make me minister of agriculture. I don't know anything about that. So you have to look for professionals and put them at the helm of affairs. Intellectuals, not clowns. Look for people that they know what they are doing. People that have held 1 or 2 positions and they did well. Come up with something.
Mr. Houston,
Yeah.
When I was reading what the minister said, she talked about recycled projects. That's something we've known for years. From my own knowledge, what I've seen happens in most of these ministries or agencies or parastatals, the same budget they use in 2019 is what they copy, paste, and go and dump at the National Assembly. Every year, I have friends that work in some of these parastatals. The MDs there receive brand new chips every year. They write new laptops every year. They don't buy the new laptops. But these things remain on the list. And we have a National Assembly that this budget goes through them. They invite the heads of these parastatals and ministries or whatever. They show up sometimes they do not show up. But most of the time, these budgets are approved with these recycled projects. So what solution can you prefer to us reducing the cost of governance, or do you agree with the steps the government is taking on their own by reducing the salaries and cutting some of these staffs? I keep saying staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Firstly, I have to say it is disheartening that people will have to go through so much hardship again a second time. I remember when we got into we got into recession. They said we came out of recession.
Yeah.
I'm not an economist, but I know very well that sometimes the language these people will use, sometimes the vocabulary they use, the economic terms they use for all of these things, sometimes is a lot bigger than me. How much more the average Nigerian does not understand when you say you want to what's the word? You want to cut down cost, or you want to what's that word when you cut down your staff? Whatever it is they say. But one language the average Nigerian has understood since I was small to this day is hardship. And it's disheartening, it's painful. Sometimes it makes you want to cry. It's sad that there are people in this country who do not know all of these things we're talking about. There's some people in this country, and it's not like they don't know about hardship because of their hard work.
it's because of the people suffering these things. It's because of the people suffering from these things. It's because of the people that suffer this hardship, because of their sweat. Some people are enjoying. Some people do not know what you call hardship. They have their families abroad. They have their kids schooling in the best schools. They go abroad for medical, whatever it is, and they're still earning mad money, and their allowances and salaries aren't even being discussed at this point. Slashing their allowances and salaries are not being discussed at this point in time. So it is appalling that we'll be talking about slashing the hard-working civil servant salary when we have politicians who are more like mediocres, who aren't doing what they were elected to do. It's like every 4 years we just put in, like she rightly said, this administration in particular, they appointed loyalists to the president to certain positions that they know nothing about. How do you have a lawyer as Minister of as Minister of Transport or Minister of Works? How do you have a medical doctor as Minister of Employment? For crying out loud. And every time doctors keep going on strike, Ngige is a medical doctor, for crying out loud. And you see, we keep putting people, just because you're close to the president, he gives you this ministry. It's more of compensation. And this is not just about this administration. So I'm appealing to subsequent administrations. If you want this government to run successfully, or your government to run successfully, you should be able to appoint people who know people who know what they studied, and not just because the president's excuse whenever we accuse him of nepotism is, I put people I can trust. Do you put people you can trust, or people who can actually do the job?
Exactly.
That's the most important thing. Dangote is the highest private employer of labor in this country, and you're giving him 2 years tax waiver
on cement.
And cement is still more expensive in Nigeria than any other African country. It's not like Dangote ameliorates the situation or living condition for Nigerians. He doesn't even make it easy for us. He doesn't help us solve our problems.
But you guys called him the highest employer of labor.
Oh yes, he's the highest private employer of labor in Nigeria. But what do we benefit? My brother, a bag of cement, they say, is about 4,000 something.
Wow.
Meanwhile, it's cheaper in other countries. It's said to be cheaper in other countries. So the government is helping Dangote for Dangote to punish us. Like the government is helping Dangote to punish the people, the common man. It's sad.
The system is designed to favor him.
And like I said, I'm not so much of an economist, but I know very well that in developed societies, there's a balance in such a way that the richer you get, the more tax you get to pay. And the poorer you are, the more tax waivers you have.
Yes.
That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it is in the UK. So it's even scary for you when you want to buy a third or a fourth car. But in Nigeria, it's a tax heaven for everybody. Nigeria is gradually turning into one of those Caribbean countries. For the rich. Sorry, for the rich.
Yeah.
It's a tax heaven for the rich. So you see situations like this and you wonder sometimes. So I will actually go with her point. I think the right people should be in the right positions and they shouldn't slash the people's, the civil servant salaries. Yeah,
but it's crazy though, looking at the cost of governance, 3.61 trillion in 2015 to 7.91 trillion in 2020, and the government looked through who are we to blame for this increment. The easiest thing for them to go to is to salaries of civil servants. Is this really a government of the people?
And
is this a government for the people?
Do you know one thing that
is this a government for the people?
That is appalling?
Yeah.
When this present government, before they came into power, they rode on the pretext of the poor to get to the corridors of power. In fact, there's this name they call him in northern Nigeria, meaning helper of the poor. Well, trust me, the poor, the masses are the ones suffering. In fact, he came with this kind of emotional blackmail. Oh, I'm going to help the poor. His campaign was more to the poor and then helping to curb insecurities. I don't know if your memory isn't failing. This was one of the campaign promises they made. In fact, in January, Osibanjo promised to lift over 100 million Nigerians.
They've started a scheme for that one now.
Which one?
They just launched
power, or which one? You do not alleviate poverty by coming up with poverty alleviation schemes. No. You alleviate poverty by coming up with wealth creation schemes. Poverty alleviation program does not alleviate poverty. Let's tell ourselves the truth. The only thing that can alleviate alleviate poverty is wealth creation scheme. How can I create wealth? Okay, this particular scheme will help people in creating wealth for themselves. So the beneficiaries of Empower that are no longer in the system, they are back to square one. Because the money that they are being paid was just barely enough to sustain them for that period of time. And then the program is over. And they're back to square one. So you do not alleviate poverty by doing that. You come up with wealth creation.
What about the trader money and market money?
Oh, please. How many of them? How many of them?
No, giving people 5,000 naira.
5,000 naira?
Yeah.
How? Sometimes when I read something or I see this government coming up with things, I weep. Like, we have mediocres, like History rightly said, in place of authority. There's something you should never settle for as a human being, and that is mediocrity. What is 5,000 naira? How much is it? Does a dollar goes for? And you give them 5,000 naira and they are all smiling. For goodness sake, I feel they are trying to...
Wait, you just said something right now.
Yes.
They give them the 5,000 naira
Yes.
and they are all smiling.
Yes.
So at this point in time, do you think the government is the problem or we are the problem?
Well,
Yeah.
I feel the government is the problem and not the people. Because for goodness sake, they have cameras stationed towards
Yeah,
their faces.
but that's the more reason they should reject the money in front of the camera.
If they
You can't expect them to reject it.
rejected the money, you would not see it on
That's
the
all.
camera.
That's at that point in time. That's all. That's if they don't take the money, you think they'll see another one.
No, you can take the money though, but she said they smile. Are you taking it with joy or I'm taking it and I'm still going
It's all
to deal with
staged.
it?
There's something we call suffering and smiling.
Oh, I get that one where you say it's staged.
It's also staged
I
sometimes.
understand
Suffering
that
and
one.
smiling.
Yeah. Anyway, so have we totally trashed this move by the government or do we give it a little bit of commendation?
It would only be commended if they start from the government themselves. If they start to cut down their allowances and not salaries, because their salaries are nothing compared to their allowances.
Yes, I agree with you.
So their allowances.
All right, let's move on. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, in his contribution to the solutions to the rising insecurity in the country, called on President Buhari to go all out, and invite all past servicemen and women to come and join in the fight against bandits, Boko Haram, and other terrorists in the country. This is what Atiku said. Now is the time for decisive leadership, and I call on the federal government to consider calling all ex-servicemen and women who are willing to return to service and take the fight to the insurgents until they are rolled back and defeated. As a former vice chairman of the National Security Council, I am aware that Nigeria has a sizable population of military veterans who are alive and well-trained locally and internationally, and it serves no purpose to allow these valuable national assets lie fallow when there is an existential threat to our nation. Call them up immediately. Continuing, Atiku, mobilize them to the field. The time has come for us to put all our effort and stamp out this menace from our nation. The men and women of Nigeria's armed forces, whether serving or retired, who restored peace in Lebanon, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Sao Tome and Principe, can and should be used to do the same in the motherland. So Atiku is contributing his voice to profess solutions right now to the insecurity we're facing in the country. So his own suggestion is that the federal government should call past armed forces men and women, you know, those that went to represent Nigeria, that fought these wars in Lebanon and succeeded. They went to Sierra Leone, they fought this war, went to Liberia, you know. So right now he's wondering how come Nigeria that has these that had, or I don't know whether we still have, that's why I'm saying had, this kind of armed forces, you know, how come we're suffering right now? So maybe it's time for the federal government to reach out to these people. He says they are still alive, you know, reach out to them to come and join what we have on ground right now, you know, to fight these people. So welcome development, or do you actually think the problem is the capacity of the military we have on ground, or because there was some part of this statement I didn't read, though, because where he was calling for them to still provide them arms and ammunition, he said provide them the proper equipment. So is it that we really lack men and women that have the capacity, or they don't just have the equipment to function and operate properly? Yeah.
I was able to bring out 2 topics from this particular column, and I'm going to speak on it. Number 1 is, well, I would say I agree with Atiku, calling ex-military men and women
they have succeeded in the past.
To come and join in the fight against terrorism. Absolutely beautiful. I agree with him. But my problem is, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar is not hitting the nail on the head.
What's the nail that he's not hitting?
If my memory is not failing, the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria is an ex-military personnel. So he should come and lead from the front. He should lead from the front.
But he's an old retired.
It does not matter. Atiku did not mention old or young. He said everybody should come and join hands to fight against terrorism. So I think the president should come and lead us from. In fact, if the president comes to lead us, I myself will join him. They should lead from our front. So Atiku did not hit the nail on the head. Let's call a spade a spade. I agree with him.
So what do you think? What do you think the president right now, the president that we have right now, him leading from the front? What do you think that's going to do? What impact do you think that's going to create in wherever we're facing right now in terms of insecurity? No, but you're the one calling for the president to come and join.
I'm only siding with Atiku. If everybody is supposed to come out, ex-service, military people, the president should also come, because he's, as if my memory is not failing, he's a retired major general. So he should come and lead from the front. Then others. I remember he promised, he said, General Muhammad Buhari will lead from the front. We can remember all these promises. We are not dummies. He promised to lead from the front. So if he should also come out to lead from the front, other people will join. You cannot be calling, or you cannot sit down at home and detect who dies in the war front. You have to lead. And another one that I told you, there are 2 topics
that you raised from this.
This. One is, there's something we call national power. I don't know. I did a course on that particular stuff, national power. And there are 2 determinants of national power. One is military strength, and 2 is economic strength. Military power and economic power. Economic power is your ability to trade at the international market, for a country to trade at the international market, depending on the strength of your currency. Okay? Then military power is one of the most important parameters when you are discussing national power. What is the strength of our military? What is the strength of our military? One time, Russia, before the fall of the Berlin Wall, Russia was the world's power. Why? Strength of their military. Why is America, aside from their economic power, why are they described as world power? Military strength.
Yeah.
So what is the strength of our military?
Anyway, Mr. Houston, what do you think about this call by Atiku Abubakar for us to invite, or the federal government to invite the past service men? Do you think the problem we have, or we are facing in terms of the insecurity, is a lack of number of these people, or do you think they lack the necessary equipment to function?
I don't think Atiku was referring to just numbers. First of all, I think it's a very brilliant idea. It's a very, very brilliant, and it's a very good one. But I don't think he was just referring to numbers. When he was referring to ex-servicemen, he was also referring to the senior ex-servicemen, like the past generals and all of these people too. That's a very, very brilliant idea. Like, I was expecting that before Atiku would say this, this administration or this president that we have would have done that.
Okay.
But it's clearly, it's quite easy to understand why he hasn't done that too, because like I said in the last episode, I said APC, from what Tinubu's wife did in the last plenary session or whatever it was, she said this administration is like a cult. They know the kind of people they let into their system, and they know the kind of people they share information with. And when you start saying certain things, that counters their ideals, you become an enemy automatically. So hopefully, I'm hoping that before the next 2 months or 3 months, we'll start having defections, which is, very typical of them. So when you start having defections, then you'll start hearing the things that's been happening in the APC. But for now, we wouldn't hear much. And I'm afraid, I don't think they will adopt this idea or this suggestion from Atiku, because the APC is like a cult. This is a national issue. This is bigger than party. This is bigger than every human being right now. This is insecurity. It's no longer at the level of encroaching in. It is already here. Like it is here. We wake up one morning and the next door is something else, or the next house has been bombed, God forbid. But it's already here. So I think more than the numbers, what Atiku, the former vice president, was actually referring to was the technical know-how, the intelligence and all that. And when he was talking about the equipment, I also don't think he was referring to just guns. If it comes to information sharing, you should be able to allow the past intelligence workers or past intelligence forcemen, whatever it is, let them come into the rooms, bring them in. This is a national issue. One time they say once a soldier, always a soldier. Bring these people in. Let's know how they did it in those places. Let's know how they succeeded. And just in case you think they're going to only adopt old school style, if the old school style is going to work, fine. If they're going to come up with initiatives, I think they're brilliant people. I speak to some people who are security experts and I see the things they talk about, but they never get the platform because they are not party members. But I just want to admonish this presidency or this administration that this is bigger than party. It is bigger than party. If you really want a better Nigeria, if you really want to, at least, even if you can't fulfill all of your campaign promises and you just want to give us security back, I think you should, first of all, realize that you can't do this alone. Because from everything we've been seeing, clearly, I don't think they can do it alone. So try to invite those people who have done things in the past, who have had so many generals. They sit in their house. Have you seen Nigerian retirees? Because every ex-serviceman is a civil servant, whether you like it. They're all civil servants, they're ex-civil servicemen too. So we have all of these men from every intelligence sector, from every military sector, from we just mentioned it, they're all in their houses. What are they doing? They're just there lamenting, putting their hands on their chin when they could actually do something. So get every hand on deck right now. So,
but the problem I have here is the government just sitting down and waiting for people to let them know this is what is happening, this is what you should do. The last week, Saraki had to tell them, reach out to international community at this point in time. Now Atiku is speaking, saying do this and do that. Don't they know what's going on? I was even going to address something. In the last episode, I actually commended the president slightly for reaching out to the US and all that. But then when he said the US, but I realized that was actually a very, very huge blunder from me, and I apologize because I think the US have always reached out to Nigeria. They've always shared information. They've reached out by means of sharing information sharing, data sharing with Nigeria. But what has Nigeria done with those data? The US informed us before. They told us before Boko Haram. Before they merged with ISIS, they told us that these people were already having a romance with ISIS. Before Boko Haram moved into this place, they told us before they did this, they always they see ahead of these people, and they tell us, they inform the Nigerian government, the Nigerian intelligence, they tell them. But what do Nigeria do with that information? Nothing. Which goes to show how much zeal they have, or whatever it is, to fight this terrorism, because the US have always data has always been at our disposal. They've always assisted us with data. They can't always send their military down here. Let's see, you have a military, you have an army, because if the US say they are going to come to Nigeria right now to help us fight Boko Haram, you're going to have a lot of Nigerians here, especially people in this administration saying they are encroaching on our sovereignty and all that. And they don't want a situation like that. So at least the best way they can right now is information, data sharing. So they share us, they give us intelligence, they give us intel. What do we do with it at the end of the day? So the US have actually helped us. They've been helping us for long now. Do you understand? So it's beyond. We want the international community to help us. Come and help us. Come and help. These guys have been helping us. What have we done with that help? It's crazy for me to keep asking you guys why the government acts the way they act. Because only them know why they act the way they act. We don't know. We can only speculate. I don't know why they act the way they act.
We just have very selfish people. They only think about themselves. Look at what Remi Tinubu said in the house the other day when Sam was complaining about and talking about the state of insecurity in Nigeria. And she was referring to party. Like my colleague here rightly said, it's beyond party.
That's what they fail to understand.
That's what they fail to. In fact, I'm appealing to them, please, we just want to leave. Everybody has a right
to leave. Leave to where?
Like not living, like
okay.
leave, not leave.
Okay, like leave. Yeah, I want to live peacefully. Yeah.
Survival.
Without having the fear of being killed, kidnapped.
Yeah, because right now it's getting to Abuja, and I tell you, like me, I am getting really scared.
We don't even want any poverty alleviation program again. Because we just want to
survive.
Live peacefully.
Live peacefully.
Yeah.
Everybody, irrespective, everybody has the right to live. Everybody has the right to live. So that is what I am seeking for. We just want to live.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Keep praying and talking about these issues every week, hoping that something will happen.
Praying! And that's my problem.
How do you pray?
Usually outsource.
Wait, I'm moving on. Yeah, so let's move. So, a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Histe, Robert Clark, called on President Buhari to hand over the government to the Nigerian military temporarily in order to solve the security and economic challenges the country is facing currently. Did I say currently already? He also said that Nigeria should be divided into 6 states in the meantime. Clark, who spoke on Channels Television's Politics Today, said that President Buhari has the power under the 1999 Constitution, as amended, to delegate all his powers to the military, who will now be charged with the task of getting the country back to 6 states. So I'm going to read part of his quote. Where's that? So he said, now there is no gainsaying that Nigeria is on the way to collapse. Nigeria has to be changed. And the only way to change it is to create a state that will make the 1999 Constitution ungovernable for its existence. It goes on to say, we want a state of emergency to be created in Nigeria today. As it is today, the president, who is the commander-in-chief, has the powers to delegate all his powers to the chief of defense staff. Let him talk to the Senate, House of Reps, state governors, and House of Assembly speakers that a state of emergency has been created in Nigeria next week. He made this comment last week, though, which means that all governors and legislators must go. Then the military will now set up what we call 6 geographical zones. Let us start on that and allow a military governance over these states. Reduce Nigeria to 6 states, and I can assure you that the day Nigeria is reduced to 6 states and there is a state of emergency, 80% of the money spent on governance will return to the treasury. Nobody is going to stop banditry in Nigeria today. This is him still saying, because it is a lucrative business, like you guys said earlier. Look at what is happening in the eastern region now. It is no longer banditry. It is now becoming a civil war. So, I think everybody's trying to prefer a solution to the insecurity we're seeing right now in the country. So this senior advocate of Nigeria, Robert Clark, has called for the military to take over, he said temporarily, not completely. And he's saying Nigeria needs to be divided into 6 states now. He says divide his words. He said divide Nigeria into 6 states and we will what? We'll see, what did he say here? I need to quote him here. Yeah, I said, reduce Nigeria to 6 states, and I can assure you that the day Nigeria is reduced to 6 states and there is a state of emergency, 80% of the money spent on governance will reduce, because we talked about the cost of governance earlier. So this is Robert Clark. What do you think, Mr. Houston? Yeah. What do you think about these suggestions by
this is a little bit related to the last advice.
Yeah, but this
Atiku,
is
I'm coming.
his own solution.
It's a little bit related to what Atiku said.
Yeah.
Invite, past, whatever. So this is somebody, a concerned Nigerian, who's actually preferring the solution. And it makes a lot of sense.
Wait. You say it's the same. No, it's not the same.
It's not past.
Atiku said invite military men to come and fight war.
Okay.
He's saying the president should hand over
now.
The governors should leave the house.
Is this serving litigant? This man?
He's a son, yeah.
Is he serving at this point, or he's retired? Is he an old man?
You don't retire from the bar.
You don't retire from the bar.
Yeah, you're a lawyer forever. He's a senior advocate.
Okay, he's a senior advocate of Nigeria. Fine,
so
that's
he
good.
understands
Which means it's
the
actually
Constitution.
fine.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is why I was able to liken it to what Atiku said. I'm not saying he's an ex-serviceman. I'm saying he's a concerned Nigerian who is also bringing a suggestion to everything, which makes sense because people see what is going on in the country and nobody wants to sit down. I'm saying this in particular because very soon, the APC will come out and say, be careful what you say. Do not threaten the president's authority. Do not come out and say you should divide the country. Do not say you should segment the country or cancel the state and all that. People will come out. And these are not just concerned people. These are people who benefit from the system. Like the governors will come out and frown at this right now. But I think he makes a lot of sense. If the constitution makes provision for this, then I think he's making a lot of sense. Look at what's going on in the Southeast. It's bigger than us. It's big. Like it's really, really big. It gives me, in every shape, form, and manner of it, it just resembles the Mau Mau rebellion of 1952 in Kenya, where you had people protesting against the colonial administration. Why I'm likening it to that, I'm trying to liken it to that is look at the style of killing that's going on in the East. The people are saying they don't want to be a part of the union anymore, and they are now threats not just to authorities of the union, like the law enforcement of the Union of Nigeria. They are now threats to people who even support Nigeria that reside in the Southeast. So if you are not shouting, if you're not saying you're in support of them, they're coming after you. How? Look at the police officers wearing the police uniform shows that you're still working for Nigeria, and they go after you. So this is it's actually like threatening what's going on in the South. The governor of Imo State ran away from Imo State. This is a governor who's supposed to serve, ran down to Abuja and says his life is not secure. Okay, it is in Abuja that your life will be secure. You came to Abuja. Matawale with all the Governor Zulum with all the bombing and everything, he's been residing in Borno State for crying out loud. Just how many gunshots or whatever happened in Imo State, the governor is already in Abuja. The APC governor is already here in Abuja. And he's saying, he made a statement yesterday saying, with all of the things going on in Imo State, the people still prefer me. He's still playing politics. So all of these things are unnecessary at this point. If the government is saying there's no money in the country, there's no money to finance the country or whatever, everybody's going broke, and NPC is saying they don't have money to remit and all that, for crying out loud, like look at money in front of you. These governors are just there feeding fat. Tell me now, with all the insecurity that's going on in this country, we're experiencing in this country, tell me what do you think the importance of a governor is to you as an average citizen? Your state, for instance.
Incompetent governor.
Right now, this is insecurity we're all experiencing in this country. There's serious insecurity. First of all, you should declare a state of emergency because people are feeding fat. People are eating big turkeys in their parlor and they're dining. And people are dying in their states and they are not doing anything about it. A governor is not even a security expert. The other day, Wike in Rivers State said, I am not the chief security officer of the state. I'm the chief logistics officer of the state. Running away from responsibility again. And you know how many governors out there are of the same opinion with him?
Yeah, but
so my point,
I think what he was saying, he doesn't control the security based on the way our constitution is set up.
Okay, right now, this is a tensed period in the country.
I understand. Maybe you're saying he should not make those kind of statements.
No, I'm not saying you shouldn't make it. I like those statements. Okay. It makes me evaluate you very well. I like statements like that. But what I'm trying to say right now is, from what Robert Clark is saying, he's not so far from the truth. See, do you know one of the reasons why it's easy for these bandits to encroach everywhere in this country as they're going right now? Why? Because it's business as usual. Everything is going on normally. So the bandits know that whatever happened, the show must go on. Nigeria is going on. People are working to bank. People are doing this. Everything is going on well. Governors are feeding fine. Their children are flying overseas. Do you understand? So we claim to be fighting insecurity, but we're a little bit complacent. Everybody is still complacent with the fight. We're like, I pray make it no reach here. You're going to work. I pray make it no reach here. Junior, take that Prado Hilux. That is your new award. Like, people are still sharing things that government is still running. Things are still going on. Like, what I'm saying is, government is still going on properly. But if you declare a state of emergency, I am not asking the president to relinquish his authority. That's not what I'm saying. That could be a treasonable felony. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if it has come to that point, not if it has actually come to that point where Nigeria should declare a state of emergency on insecurity, on the grounds of insecurity,
I don't know if the constitution provides for splitting the country into 6 regions. I don't know about that, but I think it's a time where the bandits, the headsmen, whoever it is, ESN, that is fighting against the government, I think that's gone to the point where they should know now that the government is waging a war against them, because clearly it looks like they are waging a war against Nigerians, the common, harmless, helpless Nigerian. Do you understand? But the government doesn't seem to be waging any war at this point against these people. So you must create that seriousness. The governors are still feeling fine. The House of Rep members, how many laws have they passed that has favored or that has countered insecurity right now?
I want to ask you one question. The military we have right now, if the military takes over government, I'm not calling for them to take over, but I'm just saying, if they take over governance of the country right now, do you think there will be any difference?
Now, I think there will be a lot of difference. And I'm telling you, first of all, it's not if you say take over, some people will start paying, some government officials start paying their pants right now. That's not what I mean. Take over temporarily.
Yes,
you need to put that. Yes. So taking over temporarily, now it is the military in power. That's what it means at that point in time. If the military are in power, what's the military job? Defend our territory, defend the citizens, right? That's what their job is. At least they're the ones in power right now. They are the ones doing their job. What's their job? All of those things I mentioned.
Do you think they will be freer? That's what I'm trying to say right now, because it looks like their hands are tied right now.
The military.
Do you think they will be freer to operate
You mean the military?
They are totally in charge?
The military.
Yes, whether temporarily or whatever.
If the
Do you
military,
think they will be freer?
If
Do you
the
think
military,
they will be more effective?
If the military take over, I think they will be more effective. And I think they will owe their allegiance. They will only be submissive to the president, not the National Assembly. Maybe afterwards, when they relinquish power back to the civilian government.
What president? If they take over, this president will not be in power.
He wouldn't be in power, but they said relinquish his power.
Head will still be in charge, so they will be loyal to that person. Because I don't want worry to be.
Why I'm saying this is African leaders in the Ecowas summit have finally agreed that no state should be under military rule, and that was why they took the case in Mali very, very importantly. So it doesn't spiral into other countries. Temporarily. So that's what I'm saying. They're only bound by the constitution. Anyway. So it's actually going to be very effective when they know that they are now poised to do their work.
Yeah, without any hindrance or political affiliation. Because I feel like that contributes a bit. Interruption. Yeah, Ms. Hannah, what's your take on this? Robert Clark? Divide Nigeria to 6 states temporarily, that's the key word here, then a military takeover of governance. Take out the Senate, take out the House of Rep, take out the governors. Do you think we've gotten to that state? Do you think the insecurity we're facing right now has reached the point where we need to go for an emergency situation?
Well, for a start, I want to thank Mr. Clark, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for coming up with such a brilliant idea. Wow, bravo.
You think it's brilliant?
Well, everybody is giving their take. Why? Because Nigeria is in a state of emergency itself.
Yes.
So brilliant. I want to thank him and his family.
But we're the ones that keep saying that we're in a state of security emergency. The government has not said so.
Yes,
because the government isn't feeling it. Because they're not feeling the impact.
They don't have to say it.
Okay.
You get. But after thanking Mr. Clark and his family and everybody that has helped him today, yes, I also want to make this point, like I earlier on said. They said once a soldier is always a soldier, right? Good. He's giving a military advice to a retired major general. This is appalling. It's appalling. I remember people were very happy in 2015 when Buhari won election because they believe as an ex-major general, he would do well in the security sector.
Yeah, because we're still facing Boko Haram then. Yeah.
Although we know that the issues now is more, but putting that aside, addressing Mr. Clark's point of view.
Yes.
Okay. If my memory is not failing me, Buhari once appointed himself as the Minister of Petroleum. Good. He can appoint himself Chief of Defense Staff or Chief of Army Staff, whatever, and then he can still declare a state of emergency.
Why did he not appoint himself as the chief of army staff initially?
Exactly.
Why did he go for petroleum?
For petroleum.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Give you my opinion.
No, that's just by the way.
That's just my opinion. So how about him appointing himself as Minister of Defense or Chief of Army Staff or whatever that has to do with the security situation of Nigeria, and then declaring a state of emergency in security, and then probably handing over power to the military? He will still be in power. This is not rocket science.
I like that.
He will still be in power. He will still be leading from the front. And when everything has settled, he gave a period of like 6 months.
No, let me counter you here though.
Yes.
You said he should hand over to himself as a retired general.
Yes.
He will still be in power.
Yes.
So if he will still be in power, leading the way he's leading right now, do you think we're going to face any difference? Is there going to be any difference in this war against terrorism and the insecurity that we're facing?
Let me ask you a question.
What?
Does it look like anybody's leading anybody?
But you're still saying what I'm saying though.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say now is, going by the advice of Mr. Clark, this senior advocate of Nigeria, going by his advice, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. Okay, since the president has the capacity to appoint himself in whatever position he wants to, he should appoint himself as the chief of whatever that has to do with security situation in Nigeria. And finally, even though he's at the end of affairs, other generals and other military personnel that are still in service will still be doing the background work. So we are still saying the same thing. Probably people might be scared. Probably the military might finally take over, but it's constitutional. It's constitutional, so he can still do that. If he's rejecting, okay, I'm going to relinquish power, he will still be there as a general. He will still be there as a general, probably doing office work or doing something, or I don't know his score. I don't know his score, but tell it, do something.
Sorry, you said he will be doing office work.
No, you don't do something.
Office work.
Even
So let's move on.
We're not laughing at the presidency, please. Yeah, shit, it's funny.
Of Chad. He's a retired general, right?
Yeah.
Retired military personnel. But tell it, that man was still going on my forefront. You were saying that he's old, Mr. President is old. He's not old though. He's young. Because you cannot be old and still leading Nigeria. Of course not. So even if he's old, he's still young. So you have to do something.
I didn't even know what to take from your response right now, whether you are actually in support of what Robert Clark said, or whether you are against it and we're just being sarcastic. Yeah.
She was fighting. She's in support of what she's going to say.
No, I'm thanking him and his family.
Because she landed back on Buhari's head, still on the same leadership. But I get where you're coming from, though. What I understand mostly from where you came from, because when you call for a takeover of government, the government starts rejecting, they start raising treason, so you raise that brilliant point where you don't have to hand over power. You are a former military general, but going back to what Robert Clark said, at least National Assembly will go temporarily. The governors will go. Some of those politicians that we feel make him not to function properly will go, so maybe if he is now surrounded by other military generals and military personnel, he just might be more effective, and we can actually achieve something in terms of the insecurity. Just maybe, because National Assembly is a problem for me. The governors we have are a problem to this country. Let me move, just going to move to this final topic right now. I'm going to skip one of these topics and let's just round up with this one. We've talked too much about the security issue. So I'd like us to talk about child molestation right now. There have been so much talks about child molestation. Yeah. You guys are aware about the issue of the Baba Ijesha case. I really don't want to talk about him specifically, but I want to see how we can look at child molestation broadly, not just broadly, but looking at the role of the parents in all this. What role do parents play in actually, parents and guardians, in ensuring that their children are actually protected? Because I feel like sometimes, or let me speak on my situation like growing up, I felt like my parents were a bit careless, not because they wanted to be, and I think Nigerian parents could be a bit careless. We grew up with a lot of house helps, like since I remember having memory. I know the house boy, house girl, and my mom just used to go and pick those people from somewhere in Benin. There was a woman that used to supply these people, and I don't know whether there was any background search on these people, and I don't know how our parents are that trusting in Nigeria. You just bring a stranger to the house. I understand that parents are busy though, and it's cheaper for average earning parents to have these people at home than take them to daycares. Daycares in Nigeria, as I've seen, are for rich people. They are very expensive in Abuja, and not every state even has that, and not every parent is even aware that such things even exist. So I remember I was having house boy, house girl, even sometimes family members, coming to stay. Yeah, we were raised, most times my mom's sisters will come take care of us. Her mom will come sometimes. I understand we can trust family members sometimes. It's easier and is less risky to bring in a family member, a sister, a brother that you trust. But bringing in these housemates, bringing in strangers, I really don't want to talk about that case, but that case was talking about she left the little girl with somebody she was helping. That's not your sister. That's not your brother. That's not somebody like that. You leave this person in this person's presence and they end up molesting the child. What role do parents play? Or what role should parents actually play and guardians in terms of the protection of children from child molestation? That's what I want us to address. So whoever wants to go first, you can, because it's easy for us to blame the perpetrators of this crime when they happen, but you that brought this person that you don't really know, that you really did not do any background check on, should you share any responsibility?
Well, the thing is, just like you rightly said, I don't really always have to blame Nigerian parents due to sometimes tradition, sometimes over-trusting, sometimes, the busy schedule we have in Nigeria. But now that we have the media everywhere, we have the social media, we have the mass media, I think the awareness has gone, it's now broadened enough for Nigerian parents to understand that it's a new dawn and it's a lot different from what we used to know. In fact, with these cases that we hear every day, clearly there are so many more that we've never heard, and it's actually kind of disheartening. But then the best I can actually say is there will be no excuse anymore for a parent there should be no excuse anymore for a parent whose child happens to be a victim of child molestation, because there's really so much you could do. With family members, like you said, sometimes we trust, but clearly these things have been coming from very close relatives lately and close family friends, whom some people also consider family members. So when it comes to trust, the trust can still be there, but I think you should trust your child more. And how do you trust your child more? By being open with your child. Most parents are not so open with their children. I was talking about this some days ago. I have a friend whose father is not so close to him. In their house, they have like a bureaucracy in their family where if he wants to talk to his father, he has to go through the mother. The mother is like the National Assembly, I'll be the secretary. He tells the mother that, "Mommy, I want to talk to Daddy." They started doing this in their house since they were small till, I don't know about now, it's been long I saw him, but up till university days. Wow. If he had to see the father, yes. If he had to ask for something from the father, he has to tell the mom first.
It's a nuclear home.
It's a nuclear home, but the father was reverenced to the point. The father was like Odin in the house. The father was like God in the house. So he had to book an appointment with the father through the mom, and the mom would tell him, okay, like "Mommy, I want to see daddy," and the mom will be like, "Okay, I'll tell him," and she'll be like, "Your dad says he's going to see you on Saturday." So I don't know why they do that in the family, but I've learned never to ask or question how a man decides to or chooses to run his home.
Yeah.
So, but when you see families like that, you know very well that when that boy eventually gets the chance to speak to his father, it's like finally getting the chance to speak to the president of the country. You are going to be you're going to comport yourself, and clearly you wouldn't say some of the things you want to say.
Yeah.
So parents should learn to be a lot more open
and free with their kids.
Like, talk about everything with your kids. Be very open. Don't let your kids afraid of you. Let them respect you, but don't let them scared of you. Yeah. And another thing again is, never force your kids to use their body parts. Like, that's brother, hug brother. This is Uncle James, hug him. This is Auntie Anna, hug her. No, you're not supposed to do that. I think parents should stop doing things like that. Like, don't force your kids to hug a person, or tell your kids, this is Brother James. It's okay for you to say hi. Then let your kids say hi. Because if you tell them to always say hi to Brother James, the day they get molested by Brother James, or the day your sons get molested by Sister Anne, you will not know, like, they will not be able to come to tell you that, look, they got molested by Sister Anne. And subsequently, because you brought them up in a way whereby they always say hi to Sister Anne, they will still say hi to Sister Anne, but deep down, they are not happy. They're going through this trauma inside of them until probably years later, when they know that both you and Sister Anne cannot beat them. That's when they'll come up and tell you that, look at what Sister Anne did 20 years ago. And then it's already too late. You start crying. You start feeling bad because you couldn't protect your child. Exactly. So don't force your kids to use their body parts to hug or kiss. You'd be like, give her a peck. I mean, these things like this, parents shouldn't engage or have their children engage in things like this. Then another thing again is, parents, I think, should be able to use proper words. Like, for body parts, like, use the proper words. Don't tell your child a vagina is a screwdriver or is actually a window. Don't use words like that. See, your kids you might think they're ignorant at that age, or you think,
especially now of the social media,
you think the truth will affect them. Trust me, you will affect your own child. Tell your child that a vagina is a vagina. Tell your son a penis is a penis. Tell them, look, these things, it is wrong for anybody to touch you on this part. Don't let anybody, if anybody touches you, it is wrong. Let them know what these things are. Call it by the actual name, the proper name that these things that these things are. Like, call them by their names. Let your children know these things. Also, there are books that parents could actually use in teaching their kids. There's a book called My Body, What I Say Goes. It's by Jane Sanders. These are books that they use in the US. They use it in the UK. Yeah. So it's called My Body, What I Say Goes. It's what's it called? Like, it's simplified for the elementary school and everybody to be able to understand. So you could teach your kids with all of these books, teach them about their sexual organs, teach them about, you might not tell them necessarily what these organs are used for, because of course your son pees, he knows what his penis is for, your daughter, same thing. At that level is okay, but let them know that these places ought to be sacrosanct. These places ought to be so sacred that nobody, apart from daddy and mommy, when giving them a bath and all that, nobody is supposed to touch these things.
But do you think that will make the kids more curious?
If it makes them more curious, fine. See, it's sex ed. It's good. It is okay. As a matter of fact, it's best when you teach your kids sex ed than an outsider telling them about it. Because, I mean, God knows what an outsider could tell your child. An outsider could tell your daughter, this is your whatever it is. One day it could be for me. You know, things like that. But you will tell your child, this is this. It is sacred. This is what it is. A baby will come out from here one day. Your child might laugh, but it's coming from you. And you tell them, see, you don't have to just start with their private part. Start with their ear, everything. Your eye is for saying, this one is for this. This one is for nobody. You know, things like that. This is your own. Nobody's even supposed to say it. Talk to your kids. Be open with them. If it makes them curious, allow them with that curiosity. Eventually, open up to them. Tell them what it is. I think it all boils down to openness with kids. So, also, finally, I think it's okay if you tell your kids how to what is okay to do with people, like okay hugs, bad touches. Tell them what bad touches are and good touches are. For instance, when they're playing with their pairs, tell them, hug like this. It's proper to hug like this. Like, this is not, you could give it a name. You could say, this is not okay hug. This is okay hug. This is good touch. This is bad touch. Teach your kids. It all boils down to, there's a lot of work for parents to do, I think. There's a lot of work for parents to do.
Yeah.
So,
Ms. Hannah, what do you think about the role of parents? Child molestation. Very, very sad. Like, the things I've seen on the internet these past few weeks have been pretty disgusting. Yeah.
Well, Kirsten has actually addressed 90% of what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
But then, child molestation is an age-long problem. The reason why we are bringing it up now, or we feel is rampant, is because we've gotten older, or probably we are in a digital age.
Yeah.
But in fact, when I was reading some people's stories, they've been abused 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago. I read a story of a lady. She said someone abused her, and a lot of them, they said they were scared to even tell their parents because their parents would beat them.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at the role of the parents right now.
Okay, they felt scared. I feel parents should take a greater percentage of the blame, especially when if this molestation happened within their jurisdiction. Okay, there's one thing, even my parents did not teach me anything of sex education. I learned it in school. They feel that particular topic is so sacred. Like we used to say, a penis is a penis, it is not pee, it is not pee. A vagina is a vagina. Call those body parts by their names. And then one of the parts he failed to address was that some of these children, they are being abused by their own parents. Yes.
Oh wow.
A lot of ladies have been abused by their own fathers. So how do we tackle this?
Yeah, it's the boys and the role of parents. Maybe the mother now is that should know what's going on with a child.
With her child.
Yeah.
Some of them, the mother, they know. But this lady said her mother knew that her dad was abusing her, but she refused to say anything. Because this particular woman is also scared of the father. Another one said her mom knew, but then she was scared of what people would say. Okay, how can this person be doing this? How can no. So it should just be within the family. I feel things like this, especially when it happens. Okay, let's assume the father and the mother are not involved. They have nothing to do with this particular thing. I feel parents should be closer to their kids. Educate them, tell them what sex is.
Yeah.
In fact, we are not even talking about opposite sex. Because right now you see a man abusing a male child, a woman abusing a girl child. So you don't just tell them that a sex is becoming or just between the opposite sex. You teach them everything that has to do with things like this. And you don't just teach them about sex. You teach them about an outsider or a stranger or even an insider touching them inappropriately. Make that environment conducive for them. If anything happens, they should have that boldness to come. You should be the first person they run to. But you cannot run a tyrant organization in your house and expect your children to tell you everything at the slightest provocation. No! That is not it. I know my neighbor then. Immediately they hear the sound of the horn of their dad, everybody takes dressing.
You want to remind me of some things.
When the dad sits with remote and newspaper by his side, nobody there laughs. So how can this person have a relationship with his kids? So parents need to understand this. Parenting is not just about giving birth to kids. In fact, God will hold you accountable. God will hold you accountable. You need to learn the art of parenting. And everything encompasses in one. Well, we should also have organizations like this, probably an NGO or something that handles. I think we have a couple of
serious ones, not the ones that are there to make money. Serious ones that are passionate about stuff like
what
this.
are you trying to say now?
You know, yeah, but most of these NGOs are just there to make money. They're not, So serious ones that are passionate, that care about handling cases like this in terms of legal aid. For people that don't even know what to do legally, you can advise them, you can represent them like legally. Then you want to add something?
Are you trying to say there are NGOs that just make money off of these things?
Some. Yeah.
Some.
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
even if the houseboy or all those mates do not abuse your kids, sometimes the husband or somebody in the house abuse this mate helplessly.
I think abroad there are agencies that are responsible for, because everybody you can't say people shouldn't hire nannies.
Yeah, but people should start having reputable bodies.
Yeah, that provides people. You train them and hold them accountable.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, but
there should be an age limit to this thing. You can't bring a 6-year-old to take care of.
I see that one as well. Yeah, I see that one happening as well.
Yeah.
You know, they bring these maybe relatives. You know, you just bring to come and take off your small baby.
But some nannies are pretty small. How do you bring a 14-year-old?
You're saying 14, some are less than 10
6
to take off babies. I've seen that one.
7-year-old nanny.
They're taking care of the baby. I'm like, they are babies though. A baby taking care of the baby.
Come on.
Yeah, and one of the excuses of these parents, they're like, okay, they can't cater for them. So at least at this age, the family can send them to school. So how can you keep it small in Africa?
Nigeria.
Well, let's not talk
Yeah,
about
that happens though. But I would just like to end to say, like, parents should limit the amount of people they have around their children. You know, just do that. Limit that. The people you bring around them. You know, your children are not for display. Most of the time, kids don't even want to meet people. You know, so most times they are forced to actually even meet these people or hang around these people. You know, so thank you guys for joining me today. You know, we had a good run.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to Page 36 TV on YouTube, click the notification button, retweet, share on all your social media platforms, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.